Okay. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing and regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas will be held on Thursday, March 27, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. at City Hall, 22870 Priest Road, Sandy Oaks, Texas, where a quorum of the City Council will be present. All agenda items are subject to action. You may join the meeting at the Zoom link provided in the agenda. The public will be permitted to offer public comments in person, telephonically, or by audio as provided by the agenda and as permitted by the presiding officer during the meeting by signing up with the city secretary at least 15 minutes in advance of the meeting if providing comments in person, and at least 2 hours in advance of the meeting by emailing the city secretary at cityofsandyoaks.com or by calling 210-607-0834 if speaking telephonically or by audio. Please indicate whether you are signing up for the citizens to be heard or public hearing portion of the meeting by signing up on the corresponding sign-up sheet. An audio recording of the meeting will be made and will be available to the public in accordance with the Texas Public Information Act upon written request. I'm going to go ahead and call to order. So the time is now 6:32. We are in session. Let's see here. Alderman Tremblay here. Alderman Rapino here. Alderwoman Madero
Here.
The mayor is present. The city secretary is not. Our city attorney is present, and Alderman Fillinger is not here, as well as Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado. Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. One second, guys. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Let's see here. Citizens to be heard. Persons wishing to speak may sign up with the city secretary in time and manner as indicated above. The time is provided for the citizens to address the city council on issues and concerns related to the city of Sandy Oaks. Please note that the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the city council from responding, commenting, or discussing items or topics during the portion of the meeting that are not included on the agenda. The city council appreciates hearing from the citizens, and your thoughts and questions are valued. However, civility and a sense of decorum will be strictly followed. All speakers must address their comments to the city council. Speakers shall refrain from public criticism of members of the city council that are prohibited by law. This item will be open for up to 30 minutes with 3 minutes to each speaker. One person may speak on behalf of a group. Up to 3 people may register on behalf of the group for the group for the spokesperson to be allotted up to 9 minutes to speak. If there are more than 10 speakers, each will be given 2 minutes or 6 minutes for a group spokesperson. At this time, we do have Ms. Kimberly Reagan. You are.
Carry my time.
Sure, that's fine. So we're gonna forward to Mr. Reagan, and he will have the time for both himself and himself. And that time is now 6:35, sir.
So first of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak, council. We have prepared and we had passed out the charts with the continued updates, and we'd like to continue to provide those for the council. We would also like to request that our updates are a regular agenda item, and the reason is to show, first of all, to show the utmost respect for the council and their decision to allow us the 90 days. We would prefer dialogue on this matter so we can address any of the council's concerns immediately. With communication from the council, our track record speaks for itself. That being said, I would like to also address another concern that we had. The concern is that we were not able to find any recordings of or my wife's, my dad's, Miss Adrian and Mark Schmidt all spoke at the last meeting, and none of those recordings are online.
Okay.
And I don't know why they're not, but they're not. And then, so because of that, we would also like, please, some kind of a written, something in writing that gives us those 90 days. We don't have anything like that. We have a letter that was sent, but we have nothing in writing that we have 90 days. So we would really appreciate that. So that's it. Bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Reagan. We'll talk either afterwards or I'll send you an email tomorrow. All right, moving right along. Next up, we have Crystal's, how do you pronounce it? Soya? Crystal, you have the floor. It's now 6:37.
I just want to let everyone know that we're having a celebration of life for my mom, Catherine Yelton, on April 12th from 11 to 1 at the community center. So anyone that genuinely cared for my mother is welcome to attend. I'm sure she would appreciate seeing having everybody there who loved her. Thank you.
So Crystal, sorry, what was the date? April 2nd?
April 12th.
12, sorry. 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.? 11 to 1? Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. All right, Mayor and Administrator announcements. At this time, I don't have any announcements to add. So we will jump right into the public hearing on the Community Development Block Grant. The City of Sandy Oaks invites all citizens to a public hearing at 6:30 p.m. on March 27, 2025 at Sandy Oaks City Hall, 22870 Priest Road, Sandy Oaks, Texas, 78112, to review performance and obtain comments regarding its 2021 Texas CDBG Program Community Development Contract CDV 21-0020. Disabled persons are those who require auxiliary aids or services who wish to attend this meeting should contact the city secretary at the number provided on our website at least 2 days before the meeting to make arrangements. So it's now 6:39. We are in a public hearing. Okay, so let's let it round off to 6:40. Okay, so it's now 6:40. We will close the public hearing. As far as the performance of the CDBG grant, basically at this time, council and for people in attendance, we are at the close of it. The grant actually had some overrun, or rather underspend, that's the right phrase, underspend, where we were able to utilize some additional funding to extend the drainage work further up down Loman or Hill, right, on Loman. And so we did that, and then we were also able to add some guardrail to one side of the ditch. So overall, the job came out really well, I think. There were some issues at first and with a couple of residents not liking how their driveway was reconstructed. We more or less worked through that. And at this point, I think we have a good situation where the water is no longer standing. It is able to flow as it's supposed to naturally. And overall, I mean, the contractors have been well, the engineer has been well. I hope the citizens are happy with how it came out. Again, if we just base it on the fact that water is no longer standing, I would think that would satisfy the requirements. But I'll open it up to any questions you may have. No? No? Okay, so at this time, I think we can move on to the next one. All right, so the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine by the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion of the items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separate. Any questions on the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda. As submitted.
Okay, I got a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. All right, 7, the financial report, we're gonna postpone for that due to some health issues with our city secretary. So we'll postpone that to be discussed in the April, along with the March expenses. I do want to jump to agenda item 9A to allow for some time for our auditor to present. So we're gonna jump to 9A, discuss under possible action on an external audit by Armstrong, Vaughn and Associates. PC, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Phil Vaughn from Armstrong Vaughn and Associates. We're the independent CPA firm that you hired to audit your annual financial report. Hopefully you have that in front of you. I see a couple of them to make sure that they did make it here.
Yeah.
Our role is to make sure that this report is accurate. So when you give it to the public or your bondholders, they know that we've certified it. And so tucked inside there should be a one-page audit highlights, and I'm just going to touch on that. It tells you that we've given you a clean opinion, which means we agree with this annual report. When we're doing our work, if we come across anything that you need to be doing differently or that we think you need to be improving upon, we would bring that to you as a finding, and we didn't have any of those. You are a small municipality with some limited staff, and we do help get this report to where it's at. But that's not something that I think is something you should be worried about or that you need to be improving upon. I mean, you can't afford to have a CPA on staff to do the annual report. So that's not something that I think you need to be improving to get to. So, but aside from that, just below, there's some financial trends for last year. It shows you that your general fund for 2024, the revenue was down from the year before. That's all grant related. You had some grants in 2023 that you didn't continue in 2024. I believe they're happening in 2025, as you already mentioned, Mayor. Same thing on the cost side. Your costs were down, which is mainly capital outlay and grants. Both your revenues and your expenditures were well under budget because your budget anticipated some of those grants happening and they didn't. So at the end of 2024, you were able to add 62,000 to your reserves. And so that first green line shows that you got your reserves up to 330,000 at the end of the year. That's higher than the 2 previous years. And the best way to try to quantify that is usually converting it into a month of your operating costs. And that would float you for about 4.5 months. Anywhere between 3 and 6 months is kind of the traditional range. As a smaller city, you might want to be closer to the 6 months because 6 months for you is a lot different than 6 months for Bexar County or say San Antonio. But you still have a good, healthy reserve to keep the lights on and keep the payroll flowing if something were to happen. Just below that shows you your American Rescue Plan at the end of 2024. You still had 259,000 in there. That's a ace in the hole. And then just below that is your debt service fund. You can see it's hovering around $4,000, which is how it should be. It should bring in the money, pay your debt, and then not have much left over. It should be on a break even on an annual basis, and that's how it's operating. Those are my highlights. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the city's financial statements or anything that I might have gone through too quickly.
Can I call you tomorrow to make those journal entries?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, I saw you sent it out earlier, so.
When you audit, can you take into consideration any donated items such as vehicles and on the assets?
Yeah, it's difficult for us to usually be aware of those unless we see them in the minutes or some kind of notation that we stumble across them. Oftentimes we don't know. So if you received a vehicle and it's not mentioned in the minutes with a dollar amount, then a lot of times those aren't recorded. So if that's something that you're referencing is maybe the vehicle donations.
You would refer to them as assets.
We would put them on there if we knew about them and were able to find them.
We have several vehicles that were actually donated. So,
But last year.
right.
23, 24. What was donated? I just can't remember.
The Tahoe still has the Tahoe.
Yeah, but that was donated many, many years ago.
It's still on the record, even though it was on the previous year, it's still recorded as an asset the next year, even though.
Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, and it might be on there. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head if that's on there, but it's
But it would
possible.
carry over.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was,
as long as you held on to that property, it's still an asset.
Correct.
As long as you have it.
right.
But it's probably fully depreciated. I'm
And we do
assuming.
have an asset list. Like I said, I couldn't tell you if it's on it off memory, but we could definitely look into that and let you know. Or, yeah,
But
I
it's
can
not
give-
like it's not like we're, it's still that we have an adequate asset.
Sure.
so it's just, generate for it.
yes.
Thank you.
Tom, Alderman Rapino, Alderwoman Madero, do you have any questions? Right now.
I don't know whether you can answer this. I'm just wondering whether the franchise fees listed on page 12 in this report are the funds that we receive from CPS and then the gas company that had lines through the city? Is that what the franchise fees are?
Yes.
Okay,
And then,
and then what's miscellaneous?
the miscellaneous revenue,
Revenues, yes, sir.
don't know that I could break that down completely for you.
I mean, just some examples of what might be considered miscellaneous revenue.
Well, anything that's not the other items. So if we were to just glance through them here real quick. So you have, obviously, it's not going to include your sales tax, your franchise fees, or your property tax. So it's going to be things like a fee that you might have gotten from like a subdivision type fee, which you may not have this last year. But any other like miscellaneous refunds, like a workers' comp that you might have gotten back on your premiums.
Actually, that's a great point. So I think there was a,
This is like 16,000.
yeah, I know, I think there was a reimbursement or a refund from CPS. I
Okay.
think they did a true up and then they owed us some money. So that may be what it is.
But
But
I can
we can
definitely
always,
get that answer to you.
Yeah, because
Give
it's
you specifics.
$16,000.
Yeah,
It's not a
significant.
small amount.
Yeah.
So just I was wondering what we would be getting miscellaneous funds from in that amount.
And that was.
It's on page
Page
12.
And it was more than the year before. The year before was about 7.
Yeah.
It was about 9,000 more than in the past. Yeah, I'll definitely get an answer for you.
Thank you so much, sir.
okay. Any other questions? Do we believe we need a motion to approve the audit?
Move to accept the audit
I'll second.
submitted by. We need the title.
ABA is. what it is.
ABA, Armstrong Going Associates.
All right. All right, I got a motion by Alderman Tremblay and a second by Alderman Rapino to accept the external audit by AVA and Associates. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. All right, that motion carries. Thank you, sir, for your
Thank
time.
you.
Appreciate it. All right, so then we can back up a section and go back to section 8. I think this will be a good one to discuss. Well, actually, let's not. So let's move down to agenda item 9I. Discuss under possible action on accepting the resignation of Grace Alvarado, Alderwoman Place 4, and Mayor Pro Tem. So last week, Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado reached out and said, fortunately, she's having some situations where she's not able to give her full effort to the city and has elected to resign her position. And so at that point, then we do have to meet and discuss it. And first thing we need to do is accept her resignation.
I move to accept her resignation.
Second. All right, so I have a motion by Alderwoman Madero and a second by Alderman Rapino to accept the resignation of Mayor Pro Tem and Alderwoman Place 4, effective immediately. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. The motion carries. All right. So then the next item is I think in the proper order. I guess we can go to item K, 9K. Discuss and or possible action on procedures for filing the position of Alderman Place 4 and or a resolution to fill the position of Alderman Place 4 by appointment until the next regularly scheduled elections, assuming what it says. regular municipal election or by special election and administer the oath of office. So I do believe we have three people that would like to be recommended for Alderman Place 4. That is Ms. CJ Walker, Ms. John Crickmer, and Tom Seaman.
Haven't heard back from Mr. Thompson's in field, so
Oh, okay.
I told him to let me know before the meeting. Wait,
And nothing.
I hadn't been-
Okay. So then I think we'll just consider the two. Is that fair? Okay. So we do have two recommendations for Alderman Place 4.
So what do you need, nomination?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go ahead and make your nomination.
I'll nominate John Crickner. If he accepts.
That's the first question. Do you accept? Okay, so.
Worked with John before, he's helped out many, many times. He's been an alderman before,
Mhm.
he's always there to help.
Okay. Do we want to vote on that, or what's the process? Or do we take another nomination and then,
Y'all can discuss, if there's another nomination, y'all can discuss the nominees, if not, just a motion to appoint until the next regular municipal. election.
I move to nominate CJ Walker. She has previously served and when she stepped down to allow somebody else the opportunity, she still continued to serve the city as the webmaster and does to this day. So I think she'd be good to step in and continue to serve back in the capacity of alderwoman.
okay? And CJ, would you like to accept a nomination? Would you accept the nomination? Yes, okay.
So as previously, can we have the two of them just speak on
Yep.
their behalf?
So actually, we'll open it up to you, CJ, if you'd like to address council about why you think it would be a good fit, and we can go from there.
Thanks for nominating me. I've served as councilwoman before. I've also been the chair of the Animal Control Advisory Committee when we had a very active volunteer base involved that helped with rescues, helped transport dogs, set up fosters. We set up a vaccination program that comes out here regularly to this day. Microchipping program. I've also served on the CCRB and a number of other things. Oh, I have been an alternate for the public funds investment. Although if I was tasked with that again, I would need to retake the training. I do own my own company and my hours have downshifted some so that I have more time available to give to council, which was the only reason I decided not to run again previously. And I've lived in San Diego for the last 10+ years.
The only issue that, and I think we've already discussed this, is that you are currently the webmaster. I assume you could take it on from a volunteer basis, but to continue to invoice, I think would be difficult.
There's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
There would be a conflict of interest and I'm aware of that.
Right, so just as long as you're, okay. All right, appreciate it, thank you very much. Mr. Crickmer, you have the floor.
Well, I didn't write my resume.
All
I
right,
served on the Animal Control Committee as the chairman. I volunteered in the park committee and put up the markers in the park. I worked with Charles moving a fence around the community center. Moved at my own expense 3 cubic yards of garbage on the side of the road on Priest Road. Took it to the dump. I've done trash pickups. I served on council. I was in charge of the project to put the fence in, the gate in, got that done. Actually cut a tree down that was about 14-inch diameter to make it happen. On I can't, there's a few other things. I did a lot of stuff from day one. I've been here since 2009. And I did a lot of volunteer work before I was on the council. And I'd like to serve again. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crick.
Should we take a vote on,
But we can take a motion.
Aye.
move that we vote
You move that we vote?
for John Crickmar, yeah, and then if that doesn't pass, then we move on for CJ. Does that work that way?
You, I guess you move to a point, there's a resolution, so a move to a point to the vacancy and Alderman place.
Okay, I move that we vote to a point to the vacancy, and we start with John Crickmar, and that doesn't work, and we move on to CJ.
All right, I have a motion by Alderman Rapino to appoint Mr. John Crickmar to Alderman Place 4. Do I have a second? Okay.
I move to appoint CJ Walker to Alderman Place 4.
All right, so I have a motion by Alderwoman Madero to appoint CJ Walker to Alderman Place 4. Do I have a second?
I'll say.
Okay, I have a second by Alderman Tremblay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, that motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Crickler, for your time. We appreciate you.
Okay.
Your opportunity will
I've
come
been
up.
here forever.
I know. Thank you, sir. Okay, so that motion carries. Let's go ahead and let's see here. Yeah, I was like, do you have a swearing?
Does she need to give her 2 weeks notice for the webmaster position first, or does again?
Yeah, I think we can do that. So that way we can figure out the webmaster thing. That way we don't have to do the swearing. I can do
Have
that
to swear
offline.
Next time.
I just have a question for the attorney. Is there any way around that? That she can continue to be the webmaster and maybe filling, sure, there's some legal
I don't think we should
waivers, something we
wait,
can,
I don't think we should.
is there not?
No.
I'd be willing to volunteer that,
You just volunteer?
if that makes sense.
We don't want to get any shenanigans.
Yeah, I'd rather not pay.
So that,
But
okay.
Can she volunteer to do the webmaster for the?
Yeah.
I'd
Or
want-
it'd be that position, the webmaster used to be, I think it's been secretary at one point, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Or at least until we could find someone to fill in for her.
It was Catherine doing it for a long time. And then we had CJ as help and then kind of backed off when Catherine didn't want to do it anymore. And then CJ took more and then I learned. So it's kind of been a shuffle, so.
She can just remain as a volunteer, as a council member.
Yeah.
Sharing the duties with you and the rest of the
I think
administrative
that's-
staff.
I think that's fair.
But does she need to give a 2 week notice and everything before we swear her in, or can we swear her in?
She can be sworn in before a 2 week notice. I don't think there's a policy within the city that requires 2 weeks. Or 2 weeks at least for that particular, since it's a contract.
Is it contract?
I think it's just, this is an annual invoice.
So, I don't think she needs to give a 2 week notice unless council would prefer or require that, but
I'm fine. So let's,
Personnel policy just specifies that it requests that employees provide a 2 week notice.
she's not an employee, though. She's a contractor.
Contractors too, maybe the personnel policy applies to,
Okay,
well, I don't know if that section does. It does not a requirement, though, it's a request
okay.
within the policy.
So then let's leave the swearing process for after the fact. And then we could just, we have a quorum right now, so I think we can continue operating. Is that fair? Or,
yes, you can continue. She wouldn't be able to participate in the meeting. She wouldn't be an official officer until she's sworn in, so Alderman or Alderwoman Alvarado is technically still holds the office until she's sworn in.
okay.
We need to accept the resignation. I think we need to swear that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll
If
do,
she wants to, can she resign, like, right, in writing, or can she just say, I resign?
I think we just need to swear her in.
It's up to the attorney.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to swear in tonight?
Yes.
Or you probably just tomorrow?
Just swear.
Okay.
They
all
want
right,
to swear
let
in
me-
tonight. Okay, so we'll do the swearing in just a minute. Let's actually go through. Let's see here. Oh, no, send it to the chief. She's gonna email you something. Can you print it? Okay. All right, so then let's look at agenda item. Let's just start back at the top. So agenda item 8A, discuss under possible action on amending the personnel policy. So speaking with Alderwoman Madero, and she had a great idea that we should possibly create a committee because discussing 65 pages inside of a council meeting would be
My
extremely,
comments alone would take at least an hour, sir.
yeah.
So I would move to have you as the mayor, identify a couple of older persons to form a committee to review this. And, any other personnel you think would be appropriate to support that.
Okay.
Second,
All right, so. All right, so I have a motion from Alderwoman Madero and a second by Alderman Rapino to action the mayor to create a committee to discuss the personnel policy manual. That's on, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed. That passes unanimously. I will reach out to y'all. Hopefully get that started sooner than later so that we can start. But I'm thinking an additional, an employee, like we were saying, would be a good,
From an employee perspective.
yeah, because,
Someone with some experience.
Right.
Outside knowledge.
right. Okay, perfect.
I just asked, my motion was to, appoint her to fulfill that position.
Okay.
There wasn't a resolution included for us to reference.
Oh,
Not that time.
For which one?
appointing Alderman Fraser.
It's right here. 2025 -224.
I thought that was the mayor.
Nope. For Alderman place 4, unexpired term.
Oh, it wasn't listed on here.
It's in the, yeah.
I know, well, I looked at the agenda and it didn't have a resolution number, so I didn't go digging through to find
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's mine.
Okay.
What I'm saying, sir.
Okay, gotcha.
Board to the asking.
All right. So then let's go down the line here, agenda item 9B. Discussing our possible action on additional streetlights in Sandy Oaks based on the map provided by CPS Energy. So. You all have a map?
Yeah, can you explain this now?
Yep, so. Let me get the bigger one. I will be back on white for today. But in the, that y'all have included in your folders, everywhere that there's a blue dot, there is a light. And everywhere that there's a green light, it's a specific Ansel 6 light. And so what we wanted to do, or what I would like to task the council or even our employees is to drive around the city and look around and see what is a gap, right? And so it is an example, along Shady Forest, you have one at the corner, you have one at the corner here, and of course, you have one here. But there's not something in the middle, right? So just a public safety concern. What you also can look at is curves, right? So again, here at White Hickory, coming off of Grand Spring, there's a corner here. Now, maybe it's not a blind corner, but there is a corner where you're gonna come around and on a dark night, you may not see opposing people coming through your lane. And maybe it's a motorcycle or a car that has a bad headlight, whatever it may be. In this example, a light would probably be beneficiary. Now, there is a cost to that, and I think it's what, $7 a month? $10 a month that it would add to the city's budget that we would be responsible to pay. But I think it's an opportunity to really study the map and see where we have missing coverage, right? There's a good stretch right here on Dragon Rock where there's no light. There's a plenty right here on these various spots, but right here, there's a pretty big gap. As you can see, Priest Road is completely empty, which you can tell if you drive at night. But there is one here on Priest, and I think this is Lamb Road. So
Okay, so you're saying the cost of this would be $10 per month once they're installed. What about the installation cost? Will you incur any costs associated with
no,
that? So you're asking for the council citizens as well to just identify locations within the city that is not well lit after dark.
Right, and
Where
we
it
can-
might
and-
benefit.
And so for the purpose of this, right, I wanted to just demonstrate what the issue is. We can put it out to the interwebs, so that way the citizens can also review and say, hey, you know what, my street right here on Skila in between on a course, there's nothing there. Now, maybe is it needed? Possibly not. But there are gaps throughout the city that a light can be beneficial. Same thing right here on Hickory Shadow. There's a pretty long stretch in between lights. So utilizing the map in your hands, I can also post that online for people to review and say,
Can we give it, put it on the city website, ask for
some feedback.
citizens to give some feedback?
Yeah.
But same, token, can we not, authorize the, few hours of overtime to the Public Works Director to drive the city at night and possibly locate some of these dark areas?
Yeah, most definitely. And in fact, we'd already talked about it, and that was one of the recommendations that we would eventually come to is like, do we want to just task her to find some areas that look problematic and report that?
We should
Sure.
also, I think, ask her to validate those submissions from the city, from the citizens of where they would like to have them and have her provide her input.
Yeah.
On whether she thinks those are in need of
Yeah.
light, and then we as a council can discuss the recommendations from the citizens and her input as well.
Most
And
definitely.
make an
Priest Road is
educated
a touchy,
decision.
touchy one. We don't want to light up Priest Road.
So, well, plus,
Yeah, and,
plus
and
we can also
people,
have the-
most of the people on Priest Road, and, you know, behind me is all people that are on the San Antonio side.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we need to look at anywhere where there's a cross street, definitely. Right there need street lights.
Cross
wherever
streets,
there's cross streets.
curves, really big gaps right again right here on Opportunity. You know, there's one here and then there's not one until Hickory Shadow. Yeah, I can't tell you what's the distance of that, but that's a pretty big gap there.
There's a ditch on both sides of that curve.
Yeah, so I mean, it would be beneficial, right, to have something right
what
there.
about the police department? Are you all patrolling at night? Would your officers be able to also help us identify areas where they think some lights would help benefit them in their job?
It's a great idea. Especially because right now we have two that are on patrol at night, and then as we go to 24-hour coverage, well, we have one on patrol at night. As we go to 24-hour coverage, that'll also be something.
Yeah, I think they could really help us identify safety issues where the lights would benefit them and the community.
On the fifth, we should be going to 24-hour coverage, so that they'll definitely be able to find.
All right.
So can we, move this item?
Yeah, we can, you would want to make a motion to task Public Works and the police to start looking at night? Or do we want to just postpone for this further discussion?
I would move that we, post on the city website that, any citizens who believe that or have observed, areas in the city that need additional streetlights, as well as tasking Public Works and the police department to identify any areas that may need additional lights, and that also, would include, authorizing some overtime for Public Works. Couple 3 hours maybe.
She's
So that
saying
was-
no.
No, we discussed that I could adjust my hours, so it's not actually overtime.
Okay,
That
that's
you-
fine.
Yeah. Coming late, stay late, it's fine.
That's the motion.
Okay, that was quite a motion there.
Part of the motion.
I said that was quite the motion, yeah. All right, so the motion is to to go ahead and post online the picture, and I will get with CPS to get a better quality image, so that way people can see it a little bit more clear. And then also task Public Works and the police department to start observing at night.
Identify.
Right, observe and identify any potential safety concerns. So that was a motion by Alderman Tremblay and a second by Alderman Rapino. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, that motion carries. All right. Thank
Do we
you.
need to go back to Kay and actually have you make a motion, for the resolution?
Yes, that's what I was gonna suggest before swearing.
Okay.
Okay, so then let's, one second. I thought we did have a motion for Kay.
I moved to appoint her, but I didn't move to do the resolution because there wasn't a resolution number in the agenda. I didn't look in the book.
Gotcha.
In the notebook. So,
Okay, so then let's move back to Kay.
so then, sir, I would move to, pass a resolution of the city council of the city of Sandy Oaks, Texas, fulfilling a vacancy of the city council for Alderman Place 4 unexpired term by appointment until the next regular municipal election with a CJ Walker.
Okay, and may I have a second?
I'll second.
And a second. So I have a motion by Alderwoman Madero and a second by Alderman Tremblay to approve a resolution of the city council of the city of Sandy Oaks, Texas, filling a vacancy on the city council for Alderman Place 4, an unexpired term by appointment until the next regular municipal election for CJ Walker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. All right, that motion carries. And then, all right, CJ, would you like to come up? Don't think we need to read this out loud, right? She just needs to.
The statement, no, she just needs to acknowledge it or sign it
No, no,
before,
we can-
taking it.
Ready? That is it, right? We're ready to. Where's the oath? At?
Oh, it should have been, there should have been 2 pages.
Was there a second?
Was there not?
Okay, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, CJ Walker,
I, C.J. Walker,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties of Alderman Place 4
that I will faithfully execute the duties of Alderman Place 4
for the city of Sandy Oaks
for the city of Sandy Oaks
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of the state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Welcome. All right, so let's, now that we've done that, let's look at agenda item 9J. Discuss under possible action on resolution number 2025-223, appointing the mayor pro tem.
I nominate Alderman Madero as the mayor pro tem.
I'll second.
Will you accept?
Will you accept is the first question.
Yeah,
Okay, all right, so I have a motion by Alderman Tremblay and a second by Alderman Rapino to appoint Alderwoman Madero as the mayor pro tem. All those in favor say aye.
wait,
Aye.
wait, discussion, there wasn't discussion.
Oh, there wasn't discussion. You're right.
So my point is before when we were voting on this, there was some concern about the fact that I worked full-time.
Yes.
So I want to make sure that that is not a concern and not an issue. The fact that I will be employed full-time, working in a secure facility where I won't have my cell phone. I understand the roles of the mayor pro tem is to fill in when you're out. And other than that, I'm just a council member like everyone else. So I just want to make sure that there's no apprehension with appointing me to that position, given that I do work full-time.
And I will say, the former mayor pro tem Alvarado, she pretty much had a full-time job too. And so she was busy with her duties. And so fortunately, I am able to balance between my full-time job and this one part-time job. And I'm willing to support whoever wants to be mayor pro tem in that capacity.
Okay.
So if you're okay with it, I can,
I'm fine. I just know it was a point of discussion previously, and I wanted to make sure it was not an issue moving forward before we voted on it.
If there was a crisis, I live next door.
Yeah, I'll fill in.
this is true.
Okay,
Yeah. Unfortunately, I do live, I do work from home, so I'm able to be somewhat flexible. Now, there are times that
I'm not allowed to work from home anymore.
Yeah.
Trump said no.
Trump said no. I am able to come in when as necessary. So in the times of travel, I can still direct from remotely. But
Just full disclosure.
Sure.
Before we voted. That's my only comment, sir.
okay. So is there any more discussion?
No.
All right, so we do have a motion by Alderman Tremblay and a second by Alderman Rapino to appoint Alderwoman Madero as the mayor pro tem. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, that motion carries.
Resolution.
Resolution. Okay, so all right, so then the resolution is. Let's see here. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, electing a mayor pro tem. See number 2025-223. Let's see, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas. Election of Mayor Pro Tem, the City Council hereby elects Monica Madero to serve as Mayor Pro Tem for the remainder of the one-year term or until his or her successor is elected. If the mayor fails, is unable, or refuses to act, the Mayor Pro Tem shall perform the mayor's duties and is entitled to receive any fees and compensation prescribed by the mayor. Provided for an effective date, the resolution shall take effect immediately from and after its passage, which will be passed and approved on the 27th day of March 2025. All right. All right. All right, do we want to discuss 9C?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so let's move on to agenda item 9C, discuss and or possible action on format and contents of monthly budget reports. Alderman Tremblay, Alderwoman Mayor Pro Tem Madero, you have the floor.
So I've noticed that every year when the city passes a budget, it's allocating funding lines to each of the departments within the city. However, all the expenditures that are reported in our monthly budget reports are just indicated as funds coming out of the general fund. What I would like to see and what I think we need to do to be more transparent is start reporting within that monthly budget report of the $2,000 spent from the general fund, 500 of it went to came from public works budget, and 200 came from animal control. Just delineate.
Yep.
Somehow categorize.
Breakout by department.
Break out by department the same way we do our annual budget. I think that would help provide some better transparency into where our city funds are going.
Gotcha. Yep.
We already have the credit card policy, which requires the secretary to have the report of every expenditure that's done on the credit card. So she's already got insight into all of that. So she's gonna know who spent it when she gets that credit card statement.
The only issue with sort of that is that if our public works director covers for the animal control or police department, because she's the only one that can go, there is a little bit of blurred lines there, but that's done in QuickBooks, right? So we can adjust that credit card swipe. So it's not as easy as just saying, well, this is public works director's card, push all the costs there.
But there's a credit card approval. The
Right. I'm
expense
just
is approved.
explaining.
If the expense is for animal control, that credit card approval form that's supposed to be submitted should say that regardless of whose credit card was used, the expense was approved by animal control and it was spent for animal control, based on my understanding of what our credit card policy states. So with that, that should help her rectify
Yeah.
even when Public Works goes to buy for animal control.
Right. So when you look at the financial report, the monthly report, and there are charges there for Amazon, it says Amazon.
Yeah.
There should be a slash there, Amazon, Public Works, Amazon, Animal Control.
Yeah, so you'll
Amazon
see that,
Police
yeah.
Department. That's
You'll see
what
that by
we'd
department.
like to see.
Okay.
And in addition to that, as a final, within the financial report, the monthly report, at the end of the report, or somewhere in the report, we could get a beginning and ending balance for each department.
But they don't have their own bank account.
But they have their own
They
budget.
have a budget.
Okay,
That way we
So
know.
somehow I
public-
know that
Yeah.
we should be tracking their budgets.
yeah, so you just show it with a
So-
net loss or a net gain for the month.
Correct, we
That's
know
right.
animal
If they're
control has spent
showing-
50% of their budget
Gotcha.
already this year.
If they're showing a net loss, then it shouldn't be any more expensive.
Right.
Yeah,
That
okay.
way, that way we're
But there should
seeing
be no
how
expense for a
accountable,
department if it has no money.
Gotcha.
because we had previously, when I was sitting in the audience, I listened to the council talk about getting the departments to come up with their draft budget plan. So this will help them if they see how they're spending their funds throughout the year. If we were tracking it on a monthly basis within our budget report, they could quickly see
Okay,
how quickly they're spending, where are they spending, how can they adjust, those kind of things. I just think if we're gonna do a budget by department, we should be reporting by department.
yeah, which I think I remember there being a way to break it out like that. So I'll talk to the accountant that we use to see if they could just show me how to do that in QuickBooks, or show Delma actually. But it shouldn't be an issue at all to give you something like that.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, well, I'll action that and I'll bring that back, hopefully by the next meeting. Okay. So we're gonna have to push agenda item D, discussion or possible action on hiring of a part-time deputy clerk. Only because I wanted to provide you the budget to show that there is funds available for it, but weren't ready for it in time. It would be the same lady. There is enough, I mean, as you can see, there was in the financial report that the auditor provided, there's enough funds to cover the part-time, at least until we get to the next budget, right, the next fiscal year.
Is that with us having our full-time court clerk and secretary? Because we still don't have both right now. We have a secretary and an interim court clerk. We do not have a court clerk.
Right,
So
so,
because currently we have the gentleman we hired as a deputy clerk as well.
right,
And the interim position basically is until we fill it permanently.
Yeah.
The interim
That's
clerk
under
Correct.
that.
could last
And-
could last a year. But if you have the numbers, if you feel that you have the money to cover a part-time clerk, just give us the numbers. What numbers are you talking about? What's the hourly that you're looking at? And
yeah, the hourly was $15 an hour.
Mhm.
And to be fair, she came in at $10 an hour, she said. She
Yeah.
was right out of, yeah.
Yeah.
How many hours per week, sir?
I wanted to do 4 and to start, right? So basically she's covering a 10 to 2. It's a part-time position.
I thought
Okay.
we discussed 20 hours. a week.
10 to
You
2,
said
one day.
Not 4 hours.
No, 4 hours per day, sorry.
I
Yeah,
was gonna
yeah,
say.
yeah, 4 hours per week. Yeah, 4 hours per day,
Okay.
16 at least.
Coming through, just
Yeah,
That's-
just,
emptying trash.
right. She's covering lunches.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, 4 hours per day. So 16 hours, 20 hours. Really to cover lunches, to eventually learn a little bit of both the deputy clerk, or rather the city secretary and the court clerk. To basically backfill if somebody has to take PTO or is sick or whatever it may be. So,
So basically, I think when we discussed this, we were wanting you to clarify that funds were in the budget to cover this position. So if you're saying that the funds are there,
Are there?
we can move forward with filling the position.
okay, I mean,
You don't have to show us the budget. We trust you. You're the one
Yeah,
responsible for it.
yeah,
So you have an applicant.
we do have an applicant. We've interviewed her with our committee.
She's very good.
She was very good. She's new, which is why we're okay with the $15. She has a criminal justice degree. She's just about to get it. She gets it, I think, later this month. And she's got some experience with the military. She's done a lot of not social work, but like giving back. She was a military spouse, and so she did a lot of family stuff for the military for
Looking at the situation we've been into the last couple of weeks with our filling the office positions, I think we should, move forward in our time, what else could come up.
Yeah.
But, I move that we, authorize you to go ahead and fill this part-time. based on the
I'll
$15 an
second that.
hour, 20 hours a week,
okay.
not to
And
exceed 20 hours a week.
okay, and the one thing, again, right, so she would cover lunches, and which means we would be able to open up during the lunch hour. So that's good, because I don't like turning away people. And then I did explain to her that it is a part-time position, and it is almost a temp to hire. Because if we can't afford it forever, that the position would expire at the end of the fiscal year. So she's very much aware of that. So we'll have to talk a little bit about how do we need to have her sign something so that way she's aware of it, or because it's a at will state. Okay,
We do need to rectify the issue within the personnel policy in terms of earning leave as a part-time employee.
I think, you get benefits.
There's two statements in there that contradict each other on
Right.
to whether or not a part-time employee would earn leave. So we need to resolve that, because right now you can read it either way.
No, the part-time employee wouldn't earn benefits.
Well, that's what the group is gonna do.
yeah, so we'll address it with the committee. Okay, so right now the motion by Alderman Tremblay and seconded by Alderman Rapino was to authorize the mayor to hire a part-time deputy clerk at $15 an hour, part-time, 4 hours a day for 20 hours total. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Question?
You said A. It's not A, it's the one specifically that we discussed when we hired the other
Yes.
deputy clerk. So
Yeah.
it's that particular one, not just anyone in general.
Right, the
Okay.
previously interviewed.
Just wanted to
person.
clarify that,
Yes.
make sure.
Of course. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh,
All those opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right, let's see here. Moving along to agenda item E, discuss and or possible action on a resolution number 2025-221, approving the submission of a grant for state and local cybersecurity, governance, and planning for the police department. Pull up my items here. Chief, do you want to walk us through the cybersecurity and why we're doing this today?
So it's part of the grant, it's a section of the grant, they need their own resolution part for that section we'd already put in for this grant. And they just need their,
Which one of the grants we put in? We
We-
put in a couple. Which one?
we put in for, it's a cybersecurity/IT grant. And so we put it for body armor, cybersecurity, body camera, and then
Okay, so it's associated with all of
cybersecurity,
this.
IT, right? Well, there are 4 different grants, but they need their own resolution for this one. So what this would do is allow us to either hire contract personnel or even a full-time employee, however the case may be, through grant money to do IT work or cybersecurity work that may need to be done on the computers themselves.
So this is specifically for the police equipment and not
Correct, yes.
Okay,
So
so
they
we
have,
need someone separate from our regular IT guy to
Right.
assist with that, okay.
correct, and it would be paid through grant money, but it's a grant that they offered to get for us. I wasn't gonna turn down a free grant, so they threw this one in there along with the other grants, didn't charge us for this grant. So I said, sure.
I just wanted to understand why we were getting cybersecurity when we already had an IT guy, but that makes sense, thank you.
Actually, just to clarify, these positions that are grant funded, once the grant funds run out, and in the fiscal year, if things aren't renewed, then.
If the grant doesn't get renewed, then there's, yeah.
Yeah, they'll be advised that
I
they're.
believe this grant is for $150,000 that you can use, and it's not just to hire personnel, but you can get all different types of equipment. As long as,
It's related to
it's
cybersecurity.
related to cybersecurity or IT, which. could
And the
even
police
pos-
equipment, correct?
Yep.
Yes, as long as it relates to that, which could possibly even mean new computers and stuff, so.
Which our tough books are.
The 20% match, right?
On this one, no.
That's what it says.
That's what
on
it does say
It
that.
does, yes, there is.
Okay, so this is specifically for cybersecurity things related to the police department only.
Correct.
No, it's not a 20% match?
Yeah, it is.
It is,
Okay.
it says so.
Do we need a motion?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that we, set resolution number 2025-221. Resolution of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, approving the submission of a grant for the state and local cybersecurity governance and planning.
Okay, so I have a motion by Alderman Rapino and a second by
I'll second.
Mayor Pro Tem Madero to accept a resolution number 2025-221, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, approving the submission of a grant for state and local cybersecurity governance and planning. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All those opposed? Motion carries. You. All right. All right, moving right along, agenda item F, discussing a possible action on installation of guardrails at the corner of Hilltop and Loman utilizing ARPA funds. So as we talked about earlier with the CDBG grant, on the right side coming down Loman, there is guardrail. And what the recommendation is after talking to our public works director is to actually apply opposing to the left-hand side of the road, matching guardrail. It is in a extremely high ditch, actually, it's relatively deep, when I actually viewed it. In my opinion, right, this has been taken out to bid, so the price has satisfied those requirements since it is over $9,999 because it was a part of the CDBG grant, so it did go out to bid. But it's open for discussion. I'm open for any ideas.
So you received this dollar amount as part of the bid that you received before, and this was the lowest bidder out of all of the folks that bid on the previous,
Correct.
bid with it as part of the previous project. And what does MBGF stand for?
MGBF, so that is, Priscilla, MGBF is the MGBF is
MB.
the MBGF. Okay.
What does that acronym stand for?
What was?
Is that just what they're calling the guardrail?
Hold on, I actually Googled it the other day.
I was just curious because the date on the latest email is March 6th, so.
Yeah.
And the contract was bid on some time ago, but this was from the previous bid.
So MBGR is metal beam guardrail. So metal beam guard, I don't know what F is.
That's fine.
But yeah,
Close enough.
Any of them?
yeah, 100 linear feet. And if you've been to the area, I've seen the area. Fence? Okay.
So the last email dated March,
Mhm.
says the additional work in quotes of fee. So is this, are you saying it's from the previous bid because the dollar amount per linear foot is similar to what was bid previously? I mean, I'm just a little confused on how this could be part of the old bid when the date on the email is 6 March, when the previous conversation looks like it happened back in December.
Right, so he gave us the price in December to install this MBGF, excuse me. And he said he would honor the price of the same 18,500 that it cost to add in the MBGF on the right side of the street. And so therefore, he said, based off of, let's see here.
So you're saying this is amount that he quoted to install 100 linear feet on the other side. That was part of his original one. So he's
Correct.
saying he's only gonna charge that same amount. And compared to the other bids that you received previously,
This was
this
the
is
lowest.
the lowest bid.
That is correct.
Even though he's talking about additional work and everything, it's the same price that he had quoted previously.
That is correct.
Okay.
This is all the initial grant that was for that work.
So all of this prior up to this point was paid by the grant. This would be out of our own.
Oh, we're gonna pay for it.
Yeah, this would be out of our fund. As a
Oh,
safety,
ARPA fund.
yeah, out of a safety, like out of public safety,
18.5.
18.5.
I move to approve the installation of the additional guardrail on Winfield House.
I'll second.
All right, I got a motion by Alderman Tremblay and a second by Alderman Rapino.
For the bid amount or the not to exceed amount?
Yeah, not to exceed 18,500.
Okay. To approve the installation of guardrails at the corner of Hilltop and Loman utilizing ARPA funds with a not to exceed of 18,500. All those in favor say aye.
Uh,
All those opposed, that motion carries. Priscilla, can you send him an email tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item G, discussing or possible action on resolution number 2025-2022-222, authorizing the acceptance of donation of one vehicle from Bear County declared a surplus and designating their use. So, if you may have seen, outside we do have a new animal control vehicle, and that's the purpose of this. And so, as part of receiving the surplus vehicle from Bear County, we do need to accept it by way of resolution.
yeah, there's a bunch of blanks that weren't filled in, which didn't make sense to me. We already had the vehicle and everything.
Yeah, so I mean, whereas Bear County has declared surplus property, whereas the City Council of Sandy Oaks desires to accept a donation of surplus property from Bear County. And then authorization of acceptance of donation of surplus property from Bear County. The City Council authorized the acceptance and donation of a surplus vehicle property from Bear County. And designated use of City Council hereby designates the use of such property as a, was it 2017? 19, right? 2019 F-250.
No, this is a designated use, section 2. What is this vehicle that we're accepting? What do you intend to designate its use for? That paragraph does not say, what is this vehicle?
Oh, okay.
It says its designated use is.
Animal control vehicle.
Animal control.
It's an animal control vehicle. It wasn't indicated.
Gotcha.
That's why I'm asking. So it's as an animal control vehicle.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
And everything else is Bear County.
Which may be changed or modified from time to time by City Council.
Absolutely. So, before we discuss,
Yeah, let me take a motion.
I move to accept the resolution number 2025. Number to be determined, 225, I would guess, but
It's 222.
It's 222.
222.
Yeah.
A resolution of the city of Sandy Oaks, Texas, authorizing the acceptance of donation of surplus property from Bear County and designating use, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
Okay,
So are we gonna turn in the other vehicle?
no,
Well, I wanted to get the motion on the table
yeah,
before
let's,
we start
yeah, we'll talk
discussing.
about that. But, okay, so I got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Madero, a second by Alderwoman Walker. All right, to accept a resolution number 2025-222, authorizing the acceptance of donation of one vehicle from Bear County declared a surplus and designating their use. All right, so we do have a motion and we do have a second.
Okay, so, I understand it's probably already says animal control because it's clearly animal control vehicle. Are we gonna need to expend some city funds in order to designate city of Sandy Oaks on the side of it? Does it still say Bear County? What kind of expenses are the city going to incur to adopt the use of this vehicle?
There was an expense of less than $500 to decal the vehicle.
So that's already been spent?
That has been spent.
Interesting.
Um,
And then, is this replacing a vehicle or is in addition to the vehicles animal
So
control already
it's
has?
replacing the F-150 that we currently have, which will then be given to, and then we can, given to the police department.
So
so
it's
those
gonna
still-
replace the F-150?
Yes,
Which you plan to transition to,
to the police department for our investigator.
Is that what the box truck thing is? That's what that's an F-150?
No, the F-150 is the regular looking truck, the box truck. Well, there's two now, right? There's the paddy wagon looking one.
The paddy wagon.
Yeah, no, that one's gonna stay there. They like that one. They want to keep that one for their use and then keep the F-250 for animal control use as well. So the two boxes, right? Two boxes that are sitting out there, those are both animal control. The regular looking F-150 will be moved over to the police department. Any other discussion?
that was any questions I had, sir. Thank you.
All right, so I do have a motion. By the Mayor Pro Tem Madero and a second by Alderwoman Walker. To accept resolution number 2025-222, authorizing the acceptance of donation of one vehicle from Bear County declared as surplus and designating their use. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion carries. All right. All right, moving right along, which I think is near the end. Yep. H, discuss under possible action on the repurposing of $25,000 in ARPA funds from a November 14, 2024 council action to purchase 2 equipped vehicles for the Sandy Oaks Police Department. All right, so let me just kind of lay it out. In November 14, 2024, we made a motion to allocate $25,000 to purchase a vehicle for our investigator. Now, as we just discussed, the investigator now has a vehicle. Now, since then, we have acquired a surplus vehicle from Bear County. We've given the investigator a truck. What we would like to do is take that $25,000 and purchase 2 fully equipped Tahoes from a city called Staples, which were previously in service by Bear County. So meaning they have lights, they have push bars, they have sirens, they have a PA system, they have everything you need for the total of $14,000. 2 vehicles, not 1, but 2. The reason for this is because we now are going to a 24-hour coverage, which I would like to have 1 vehicle assigned to each person. Okay, the chief, who also has to respond to calls, would not have a vehicle if we don't have at least 1 more vehicle. And on top of that, it's 2 vehicles fully equipped for $14,000. There's not a better deal in this world that we're going to find.
Both vehicles for 14,000?
Both vehicles for
How old are
14,000.
these? How many miles do they have on them?
One has 99,000, the other one has 117,000. One is a 15 and one is a 17.
Right. If I might add, on April the 4th, if y'all remember, we ordered dash cameras that are coming with the license plate readers for, missing children and silver alerts and all that that's coming. They're getting installed April the 4th. We have 5 of them coming in, but I only have 4 patrol units. So, we don't want just that dash cam not sitting around, but we have.
What other equipment is gonna have to be retrofitted on those vehicles? Because we're talking about
Only
radios,
thing
we're
that-
talking about the computers, all that equipment.
So we would need a computer for 1 computer because the investigator doesn't need a computer. We have a computer in, what I would like to see happen is, like you were saying, I have 4 uniformed officers, 1 investigator, and then myself, and I wear a uniform the majority of the time. I have 4 marked patrol cars and 1 unmarked car, which is gonna go to the investigator. We have the 5 dash cams coming in. I don't have enough cars for those dash cams. The only thing that this vehicle would need is if we were going to install a radio, which I don't think we need. The majority of deputies and officers nowadays are not using the in-car radios. They're using the radios that they have on the side and they're pushing and talking from right here, even while they're patrolling, right? So I don't see the need for it. If we wanted to install a computer, we would have to purchase at least 1 more computer. The system that we just got installed this Monday and Tuesday, the new reporting system that we had ordered, they came and installed them this Monday and Tuesday. It doesn't have to be any specialized computer. It's
web-based.
it's web-based, so any laptop, any
iPad.
well, iPad, but laptop and desktop, the word I was looking for, any desktop, any computer, you can do it on your phone if you have internet service. So it doesn't have to be tough books, it doesn't have to be,
So what my question is if we're gonna allocate $14,000, we have $25,000 that we're trying to reallocate. We don't, if we spend the 14 for these 2 vehicles, I don't wanna come in next month and say we need $12,000 to retrofit these 2 vehicles. The cost should not exceed the $25,000. We may have to put tires on these vehicles. Have we
We have
done
to
a visual
Yes,
inspection of the
so,
vehicle?
yeah, so to answer your question, yes, me and the chief last Friday,
Right.
drove over to Staples, Texas, and I thoroughly inspected them. Very clean vehicles, very well maintained. I mean, they were previously Bear County. The reason why they're getting rid of them is they applied it for a grant through ACOG, and so they no longer need it. So to answer your question, I don't think we need radios, because the officers carry their radio. The only thing that it would need would be a wrap,
A wrap.
which is the
Well,
stickers.
still, if an officer's going to be driving that vehicle and he pulls somebody over for a ticket, how is he gonna do that reporting system?
Yeah, so the laptop,
He's gonna have to have a computer in that
Yes.
car, right?
correct.
So there's a cost.
Yeah.
What,
Very-
estimate, what's that cost?
think about $2,000.
$2,000 if we get a tough book. If we do not get the tough books, they're cheaper than that. But if we get the tough books like we have in our vehicles now, they're about $2,000. And then of course, we need to put the Sandy Oaks logo because
So how
they.
how much is the wrap? Is that $500 per vehicle?
No, it's a full wrap, so it's probably closer to about $2,000 to $3,000 per vehicle.
So 3,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, we're now at 22,000 with just the laptop and the 2 wraps.
Yep.
So
That's all
we're
that-
still under the 25.
And that's all we
but
would
we're-
need, because these vehicles are ready for
Yeah,
service.
they come with the light bar, the siren, the PA system.
Tires are good.
They're even giving us the radar and the radar monitor. So like we only have 4 radars for the 4 units we have. They're even letting us have the radar system that comes with it. So it needs no equipment whatsoever, other than a computer. If we're gonna put a computer in there and a rack. And we would only need 1 computer because I wouldn't need a computer in the one that I drive.
So this will take us to how many police department vehicles plus the F-150 that we're repurposing? to-
So it would take us to 6.
6 marked units and 1 unmarked unit. So that would give me a vehicle for every patrol officer and 1 standby vehicle in case one breaks down or
With-
in the shop, or we going back to that other grant that we were just talking about, if we were to find an officer that had a certificate in cybersecurity or IT, we could hire that officer as a full-time officer under that grant and not come out of our money and have another person on patrol. We have a unit for them.
So all 6 of the officers in the police department right now would have a vehicle and then you'd have 1 spare for when
One
one was
spare.
out of service.
Which, as an example, 2 months ago, I guess right before the new year, we were down 2 vehicles. We were down 2 police vehicles, and luckily we only had 2.
Tomorrow, my investigator has to go to Seguin for an interview at the Child Advocacy Center. And he's gotta take his own vehicle because his vehicle, instead of taking it to the shop, so it's not gonna be ready till Tuesday, so.
Just adds a lot of
these other things are
flexibility.
going.
So we're only going to address the purchase of the vehicles. You'll come back to council for retrofitting and put those funds separately.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. And really, we could save money on the wrap by just saying, changing City of San Diego. The wrap will look completely different than what we currently have. But all we have to do is decal City of Sandy Oaks and
I
it's,
think we need to keep them all the same, so
Okay.
people know who we are.
Our,
I agree.
our Impala's not the same.
Yeah.
Our
Paula's on
Impala's
mine.
completely white and white out,
Well,
so,
that's the ghost view.
Yeah.
and yes, it is.
So then we'll come back with bids for the wrap from Southwest Public Safety
In the laptop.
and the laptops, yes.
Well, I've moved, we, approve repurposing of, $14,000 from the 25,000 ARP funds that were previously authorized for, vehicle purchase for police department.
I'll second.
Okay, so I got a motion by Alderman Tremblay to repurpose 14,000 of the 25,000 in ARPA funds from the November 14 City Council to purchase 2 equipped vehicles for the Sandy Oaks Police Department, and a second by Alderman Rapino. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, that motion carries. Did we hit everything, guys?
I think
I
so.
move to adjourn, sir.
All right, it is now 7:52. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming.